So, hi everybody. Thank you for coming today. We're going to be talking about meditation and how we can use tarot with meditation in order to manifest what we want to bring into our lives. How many people meditate or have meditated before?
I've tried.
And do you meditate regularly, or is it just something that you do once in a while?
Once a week at least I try.
Okay, good. And is it mostly for relaxation, or is it something that you focus on?
Just relaxation.
Okay. There are different ways of meditating. There's active meditations, and then there's still meditation. Still meditation is more about clearing the mind, relaxing. Active meditation can be while you're jogging, doing the dishes, driving. It's more involved focusing on a picture, or you can even use words, so reciting a mantra. So what I'm going to be focusing on today is meditating on the tarot cards and how to bring in the energy of the card to kind of reflect where you are at your life at this moment, to help you understand if there's an area where you're feeling stuck in trying to manifest something into your life. Okay, what is this card reflecting back towards me that's related to what I want to manifest? Close it? Okay. So, meditation is really transforming your mind. It's changing the way you see anything, your situation, how you see other people, how you approach life. So, for instance, say you're having a difficult situation at work, and you want to use meditation to help you overcome that stuck feeling, or maybe you're feeling angry. One thing you can do is to focus on breathing to help to calm you down, and focusing on what you can do to change your situation. So, in order to manifest something new into your life, you have to be willing to clear your thoughts. And through meditation is a way of doing that. You not only have to make room physically for new things into your life, but you also have to mentally make room for new thoughts into your life. So one thing that's pretty interesting is if you want to experience change, all you have to do is change the way you think about something, and that will lead almost like a domino effect to other parts of your life. So no matter what you're experiencing right now, the first step in changing that situation is to change your reaction to it, to change how you see it. So how does that relate to tarot? With the elements of tarot, we have air, which represents our thoughts, how we communicate. We have water, that represents how we feel, our emotions. And we have fire, which relates to how we react and our actions, how we respond to a situation. And those three elements actually create our world. So again, what we think affects how we feel. How we feel affects how we respond. And how we respond will be the end result. So going back to manifesting, how do we bring those elements into our life? How do we approach those elements to see where we're stuck? So we need to go back to, well, how are we thinking about this situation? With right thinking, you will have the correct emotions, the correct feelings. With the correct feelings, you will have the correct actions to take. You'll do the right thing. And when you do the right things, that's when prosperity comes back to you. And that's how you create that energy of bringing the power from above through you to reality, into life. So, if we know all this, why are we still stuck? Why do we still get into a situation of like, well, I want this, why am I not getting it? And in order to get from A to B, you have to be on the right road. You know, it's like a map. Life is this map that we have to navigate through, and we have to be in the right frequency. We have to be in that right energetic zone in order to attract to us what we want. So if you're in a very negative frame of mind, what are you going to bring back towards you? You're not going to bring people that are going to want to help you. You're not going to bring the people that are going to treat you well. So you want to be in that right frequency. Yeah.
Now say just, could it be that your intentions to manifest are good,
Yeah.
or your subconscious is still focused on the negative aspects?
Yes.
So in essence, your intentions are good, but you're bringing in something that is not good.
Right.
You still attract.
Yeah, because it's like either you don't have the self-worth to realize that person's a jerk, I shouldn't be dating him, or this job is, you know, like, my potential is more than what I'm doing now. I'm not seeing the value of what I'm bringing to my environment, and I'm always, like, some people might be stuck in a place where they don't think they can achieve their goal because they don't have the self-confidence. And it doesn't matter, like, you could be successful in one area of your life, but a mess in the other. So how do you, like, why does that happen? So hopefully through meditation you can bring the knowledge that you have in one area of your life that's going well, bring it to the other areas of your life that you want to help improve. So how do we do that? We need to really look at ourselves and see, what are we afraid of? Because it's our fears that hold us back from making the right choices. It's either we're afraid of making the wrong ones, or we are afraid of making the right ones, but having more responsibility from those choices. So one of the things that I want to work on today is everybody to choose something in their life that they want to change, or they want to manifest change into their life. Pick one thing that you may have been struggling with for some time, and write down all the fears that you have regarding the change or the shift that you need to make.
Sorry, looking for a pen. There we go.
Do you need one, or have an extra one?
No, I'll go.
So, is there anything in your life where you feel a shift is needed? And if so, view the situation, and what about that situation brings out an extreme emotion to you? So, what I mean is, if you're angry about something at work, for instance, if you're afraid of taking the next step of moving, you know, if you're like Jen or Anton, you're making this huge step in your life, what about that situation frightens you? So write down everything that you feel in connection to that.
Well, my list is growing.
So it's your feelings that are showing you what direction you are taking. Okay? So you want to get from A to B, but our feelings, you know, they're not the most direct route sometimes. Sometimes we take these curlicue ways of getting to where we want to go. Eventually we'll get there, but we've got to find our map, you know, and your feelings are sort of like the navigation system. If you're feeling extreme high or an extreme low, then that's something that you want to examine, because I think any extreme happiness or extreme sadness or depression or anger is sort of like a flag of, wait a minute, hold on, something here is out of whack. Ideally, you want to get yourself to a balanced state of being, because in that balanced moment is when you make the best choices.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know if you saw the comments the other day about similar thing when I posted my reading in Tarolix about moving, and Tony was like, yeah, but you made a decision in a moment where you weren't stressed.
Yeah.
You just made it.
Yeah.
So that's good, because you just got the feedback and got
Right.
the support that you needed. It's not making it when you're in an extreme low or extreme high. It's when you are like, you know what?
This is what I'm going to do, because it feels right. And
Not
I'm gonna
because
do
you're
it.
up too high or up too low,
Yeah.
but because it's just what you're going to do.
And those moments of being centered, so it's like, I want you to understand what it's like to feel this centeredness, because that's when we should approach the tarot. That's when we should be doing our readings, not when we're so anxious about an outcome. What's going to happen, and we do a reading, but we're so whacked. You know, our energy is just so all over the place that no matter what we see in the cards, we almost don't trust it. You know, it's like, it's too good to be true, or
Or it's bad.
it's bad, let me redo it, you know. So through meditation, before you even pick up the cards, think about your situation. What is it about it that you're having trouble with? Hence, writing down the fears. And then, okay, get myself to this calm and centered being, or sense of being, and say, okay, these are my fears. So once you write down your fears, a lot of times afterwards, you realize, well, these are things that I can deal with. These fears I can manage. Because now you've put them on paper, now you can confront them. You know, now your mind is capable of solving the issues that you have. When you don't write them down, they're kind of like these ghosts or these demons that are haunting you. Once you shine a light onto them and you look at them and you say, hey, you know, I'm afraid of confrontation, or I'm afraid of losing control. Well, why do I feel that way? You know, now I can confront it and ask myself, why do I feel that way? And rationalize these fears.
That reminds me of an app where you can write down these fears, and it works like there's water on top of them, so you can run your finger over your screen, and it starts dissolving. That sort of the wording starts dissolving, and it's been proven help you to let
Which
go.
is interesting because you're physically
Exactly.
manipulating it
It's
and visually seeing it
Seeing it
disappear.
disappear.
So in your mind, it makes it real.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's dissolving.
What is the apnea?
I'll let you know.
So then, after writing down your fears, how do you feel looking at your list? Does it still feel scary, or do you feel more confident in your ability to manage what happens should something come up?
As you were talking, I got my little list, and then I did the opposite. So, for example, my first fear was upheaval, being uphill to the people. And then upper is change, and it's good. Not being strong enough,
Yeah.
but I am.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
So these can be things that you focus on, the solution. So, like you said, being uprooted, establishing stronger roots even in your new home. It's okay. So, to me, after writing down my fears, I would feel an energy shift. More groundedness, more focused energy. What did you?
And that's for...
Oh. I'll get more.
Yeah.
So that's one way of approaching the situation, and then, prior to doing a reading, grounding yourself.
Do you never find that there's also something positive in sort of accepting fear and maybe the wisdom that is in
Yes.
fear?
Yeah. Sometimes fear, sometimes understanding that there is danger in the situation and saying, okay, that's possible. So how do you deal with that danger? How would you look at writing down what is a true, one of the fears, like what you were saying, writing it down, and then, well, how do you deal with that situation, even though it is dangerous, or even if it is valid? Is that what you mean?
Well, I meant the way you presented it sounded a bit as if you just get your head around it. You'll find that all your fears are unfounded if you do what you want.
Well,
But sometimes I wonder whether that's still the wrong decision, or you might be wiser going a different way rather than what you aspire to. That might not really be wrong for you.
right.
So in that sense, the fear is sort of a good advisor, rather than something that needs to be ignored or dissolved. Or
True. Yeah, that's a good point.
You mean like a gut instinct that's warning you of something?
You might have some fancy ideas of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And it might not really be quite realistic. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from with this.
But also, I think that everything has to come in steps. So even if you have these grand ideas of what you want to achieve, you still gotta it's still a long road. It's not gonna happen like that. You have to take small steps. Lots of times, after you take small steps towards something, you find, well, what do I really want? Is it in alignment with what I really want to do or to be, or what I want to experience? If it's so far out there that achieving that goal is almost impossible, I think you're going to find that along the way. You will. But who's to say what's impossible? I mean, look, 60, 70 years ago, did we think we would land on the moon? Okay? So there are crazy ideas and crazy goals, but who's to say what's possible and what isn't possible? I think that's up to the group or the individual on how they want to get to where they want to be.
I do think the Christian maybe has a point in terms of being realistic.
Yeah.
It's like, you want to move to to a different job, you're going to move to a different country, fine, that's really still doable, it's
Yeah.
not impossible.
Yeah.
But if you start saying, I want to move in another country and have a mansion and have a £500,000 job by next month, you know what I mean? It's just a
Yeah.
stupid example, but you've got to be sort of realistic on what you're
Sure.
doing.
Yeah.
And then you
Otherwise,
can,
otherwise you
then
could be setting yourself up to lose everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
All I wanted to say is fear can be something good about fear or
Yeah.
changing what you want to do.
It's an alarm signal, isn't
Yeah.
it? And you have to decide, is it a false alarm,
Yeah.
the one that keeps holding me back, or checking actually, like you said, is it a real danger? So
Yeah.
listen to it, but then decide whether to act on it or not
Right.
act on it. It's
Yeah.
always an alarm signal of some kind.
Yeah.
Is it a false alarm? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and so then, again, so how do you find out what is a valid fear and what isn't? So trusting your reaction, I think, to the question. Are you feeling extreme highs or lows? Because that's a trigger that's going to say, well, something isn't right. Whereas if you're very calm and you look at your list and you feel like, well, okay, I wrote this fear down, but I know that this is not, it's unrealistic, it's not a real fear that's a danger that's keeping me back, or it's more, I'm talking more about irrational fears. So something that you're afraid of, even though you know you could overcome it if you needed to. And then the other step too is when you have a fear, what is the worst that can happen in the situation? What is the best thing that can happen? So if you look at what's the worst thing that can happen and you say, oh yeah, I can deal with that, then I would say it's okay to move on. Does anybody else have any other questions about that part? No, okay. So the next kind of activity I want to work on is how to work with the cards through meditation to remove the blocks. So there's two different ways. It's either you can take a pre-selected card or you could randomly select a card.
I already had one in mind because I pulled it this morning for myself and it was a lovely card. Tried to find it though. Ah, there you go.
Okay. So let me know when everyone has their card. Did you randomly pick
Yeah, I
one?
did.
Yes, or did I? Okay. Everybody ready? So what I want you to do is to focus on the card, just your initial feelings about it without going too deep. And then once you sort of get that idea, to go deeper into the cards. Not every card has a character in it, but if yours does, then I would want you to be in the environment as if you were the character. You know, what are they feeling? What is the air like? What does the environment feel like? What's the story? What's happening? What has just taken place? Is this something that's been going on for a long time? Did it just happen? Is it just ending? And what's going on? If your card doesn't have a character, then just look at the symbols or look at the colors and focus on how those make you feel. So does anybody want to share their card? Henry?
I've got the Ace of Wands here.
The Ace of Wands?
Yeah.
So,
Basically, it's to help someone move.
okay.
That's not for me. As quickly as possible as well. So,
Anybody else? You want to share your card?
Ten of Swords.
Okay.
Always a lucky. But all the things you said applied. Has something started? No, it's ending.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got the character kind of laid out, flat out, but at least it's over. Just looking at how it makes you feel. Even when something terrible's happened, if it's over, there's always just a sense of relief, really. So,
Yeah.
and then maybe a choice as to what comes next.
Okay.
Yeah, and then not letting the experience hold you back or be a block, but to just chalk it up to experience, I suppose, and hopefully learn from it, rather than it, holding you down.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anton, you want to share yours? Or?
It's the Nine of Mirrors, which is the equivalent to the Nine of Cups. Which is, I got it yesterday as a card today as well. And this is pretty because it's, what struck me about the Nine of Cups, it's actually, I should say Nine of Mirrors, because it's not really going by the Rider-Waite. This deck doesn't really go much by the Rider-Waite. But what struck me of the image is that it's got the two little children, they're like fairy-like, and they're like, there's two little fairy children or children that are playing on the tree. So it still is the wish card, but it's got this beautiful blue-yellow color, which is very happy, I think. And I love, I'd say they look like tears, but they're not tears. It's almost like rain, water, raining on the kids, and the kids look happy. And acorn, and there's acorns, and for the life of me, I can't remember the symbolism of that.
Okay.
But there is a symbolism.
For acorns?
Yeah.
Is it regeneration or?
spring.
Yeah, sunflower, yes, that's obvious, that's regeneration, and and a butterfly as well, again, regeneration. It's a lovely nine of cups. So for me, it's to focus on that energy, the energy of regeneration, wish, not on the negatives.
Yeah.
Focus on an I am, I can,
Yeah.
and I will kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good.
Just wondering, what deck is that?
It's the chrysalis tarot. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so of everybody who selected a card, now was it pre-selected or was it random?
Pre-selected.
Pre-selected.
Random.
Random. Okay. So those who picked a random card, do you see any connection into any situation in your life where this is appropriate? Okay. And how do you feel about knowing the card, knowing upright version and even the reversed version? How does that apply in your life? So for me, I randomly chose the 8 of fire, I guess it's with the OSHA deck, so traveling. And I'm currently going through a situation now where it's like, we're about ready to move, but things are still up in the air, and it's like, come on already, you know? I just let this be over with and let us move on. And we're kind of stuck. So I thought this was interesting that I pulled this card. So on one hand, it's, yeah, things moving forward, and even moving forward very quickly. And then in a reversed way, it could also be things still up in the air and not moving. So this was appropriate for me.
One thing I kind of felt when, because we both had the same card,
Yeah.
you know, is that in order to move forwards, you have to really be really free and open about it. You can't feel dread and feel stuck. Otherwise, that will
Prevent.
it from
Yeah.
happening.
Because sometimes there's changes that take place that you need to just go with.
Yeah.
And if you're going to question every detail, you're just slowing yourself down. Okay, so that's one way of doing meditating with the cards. So just selecting one or randomly picking one. And then there's another way to form your intention. So choosing a card that is more aligned with what you want your end result to be. So if you have a situation in your life, whether you want to get married or you want, you know, whatever it is, lots of money, finding the card that is in alignment with that outcome, choosing that card and doing that same exercise of where you are in the card, you experience what the character is experiencing, and you ask yourself, how did that character get there? What did they do to achieve their goal? So
in the card.
in the card, picking a card of an outcome of what you want for yourself. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. So, being in the card, being one of the characters if there's more than one, and experiencing what they're experiencing. So I've got the Three of Cups, or Three of
I'm
Water.
gonna pick a random one for this one because I can't pick one.
Okay, that's fine. So I picked the Three of Water as three ladies dancing in the rain.
Funny, I was just thinking about that card.
Yeah? So how did I get there? You know, and it's by being...
Ah. Sorry.
Is that the one you wanted?
Well, no, I mean, I got the pre-selected
Yeah,
the Nine of Cups, and I
Okay.
got the Ace of Cups as a
Okay.
random.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So it's about being open and being ready to share with other people, you know.
Letting things flow.
Yeah.
Flings or things.
Things. There.
Celebrating celebrating
That was
the
Freud's
moment.
It is, because this card is very much about it. The water flows outside the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, from
From the mirror
yeah.
into, yeah, overflowing this feeling. So again, it's like, you know, ask the characters, how did they get there? How did they, you know, you might be surprised with what your mind tells you, what information your mind gives back to you, and how you can use that information for your situation.
Now, what happens if you're using a card, a deck doing this that doesn't have any characters? Like some decks
Like
are
the
just
thought.
yeah, the toss, or others that are just
Yeah.
completely like
Do
abstract.
you use the symbols or use the colors? You know, colors and symbols say so much. I mean, it's, especially with the thought, well, the thought has characters.
No, yeah,
Some.
some.
Yeah, not the minors.
Yeah. But just, I mean, it's such a beautiful deck that the softness of some of the colors are just, they just it expresses so much. It's interesting. And then finally, how do you work with the cards that come up that you just don't want? You know, and I think the key is to not run from them, not be so quick to let me pull another card or
Well, you
let me
can
try
if
a
you want.
different deck. You know, it's like. Stay with it because it's trying to tell you something, and if it's something that you don't want to face within yourself, that's all the more reason why you need to stick with it. Especially when manifesting for yourself, it's like you have to face everything. You have to face, you know, it can't always be positive, positive, positive all the time. It can't always be up. You're going to burn yourself out. You got to mellow out, you know, find a neutral ground. And then if there are moments where you feel frustrated, stick with that feeling too, because every emotion is there to help you, is there to help guide you on where to go next.
So let's say you're working with a random card to meditate. Say
Yeah.
that you choose that way to do it. So what do I need to meditate on today? And you pick a card and then you meditate on that. What happens if you not just get a card that you don't want, but you get sometimes I find that you get stalked by a certain card, which could be good or bad regardless, but it just keeps coming up. How would you take that in terms, obviously you can meditate on it, but how would you take the fact that maybe you just keep pulling the 5 of Wands, and you don't really feel that particular way, but it keeps coming up?
Well, for me, I usually get swords, like, stalking me. And it's like, where am I in my thinking that I'm just, you know, refusing to let go of something in my mind? So with wands, maybe in some way, are you being too aggressive? And then you have to ask yourself, is that real? Is that a true thing that's happening? With 5.
But you
With the
still
5.
meditate on that?
You still
yeah.
meditate on that. So it may not be, and it might be in an area of your life that's surprising to you, that you wouldn't, you know, maybe there's some part that you're not really focusing on, but you were taking on this energy because maybe overconfidence. I don't know. I mean, it depends on the person.
No,
on
yeah,
the
of course, yeah,
situation.
that was an example. But
Yeah.
So it could be anything.
And then also with the major cards, they can really show you where you are in your thinking. With a project or a goal, to show you where you are. So let me take my major cards out real quick. Thanks. And you can do the same thing with just using the majors, either pre-selecting or randomly selecting cards. Should have had 2 decks where I did this already, but. Now, does anyone kind of use these methods already?
Not for meditating.
Do you think you would try using it? Or is it something that was a fun exercise, but...
It gets results, but it's always, sometimes you get results in ways you don't expect.
Yeah. you gotta, I mean, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It's not just, I mean, depending on.
Depends on what you ask for. Sometimes it happens on the same day.
Yeah.
Something changes, even you may or may not have noticed. Yeah, a change happens, and yeah, depending on what you ask for, it's how long it takes to happen, basically.
It's surprising how a card, like say you pull one for the day, and you're like, oh, I know what that one is. But then you say, well, let me kind of just really absorb the card, and the meaning just becomes so much more deeper. And it's surprising, especially even court cards, because usually I'm like, oh, I don't, just get like, is that someone else or is that me? But I find it's a quality about the court card that I need to bring into my life.
I'm still by the Knight of Swords. I don't like that. I don't like the Knight of Swords.
All right, here's, I'm going to ask somebody to pick. These are all majors, so randomly, do you want to pick one? Cool. So, doing that exercise, how would you...
The rebel.
The rebel.
Where is that?
That is the Emperor.
Emperor.
So how can we use the Emperor as a mentor for what we want to manifest in our life? And that could be for all of us here today. And so the Emperor is, takes responsibility. He's
Well, in this case, it's the rebel, not the...
Yeah.
I
The rebel.
It's not to
an
take
opposite meaning
responsibility.
in a way, yeah.
Do whatever
He's
the hell you
breaking
want.
chains. He's breaking
He's
chains
breaking
instead
chains,
of
but
imposing.
Take control.
rebelling, I don't think it necessarily means rebelling against society, but it's rebelling against,
Whatever limits you.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is taking responsibility, though, for yourself, right?
That's about taking charge.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
charge,
Yeah.
Not running with the crowd.
yeah.
That's quite hard for people to do sometimes.
Definitely are not doing that, so.
Yeah.
Right track. There's an eagle there as well. Yes. And a torch.
So maybe getting fired up a little bit to
Yeah.
take action in our lives, and
Funny, I was reading a quote earlier before I left about eagles or something, and how in times of thunderstorms and storms, most birds would fly and take refuge if they can, whereas the eagle would fly up and fly above the storm, hence the saying, soaring like an eagle. And so it's about bypassing that storm and flying above it and dealing with it that way rather than hiding.
yeah. I love eagles.
Yeah,
So, well, anybody have any questions on anything that I've talked about today?
What are your experiences on this?
Yes.
Well, the reason why I'm here doing this talk is because this is one of my biggest fears, is doing public speaking. I mean, huge fear of mine.
you're doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I kind of blanked out in the beginning a little bit, but this was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. So this was something that I worked on through my blog on Facebook, that I was going to commit myself to facing a fear, confronting a fear that I had, and to make it, to understand that my fears were irrational and that I can overcome them. And that was it.
Well, it could be rational sometimes. For example, they could have roots into something that's happened
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, it does, but you have to confront
But you
it.
have to still confront that.
Yeah.
Then it becomes irrational when you keep feeding it.
Yeah,
Yes.
so thank you for being here today.
Thank you.